स्वतदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणी श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे सर्वशास्त्राब्धि पीयूष सर्ववेदैक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो कलिध्वांतोदितादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्षक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेव्या श्रीकृष्ण नमोस्तु मे मदेक बंधो मत्संग मद्गुरो मन्महाधन मनस्तार्ग मद्भाग्य मदानंद नमोस्तुते साधु साधुदादायन अतनी चोच्चताकर आनमं जगदाचिन मां प्रेमणा हितकंठयोस्पर नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय 1.12.14 to 20 हिरण्यं गां महीं ग्रामान् अस्त्यश्वान् नृपतिर्वरान् प्रादात् स्वर्णं च विप्रेभ्यः प्रजातीर्थे स तीर्थवित्. Upon the birth of a son, the king who knew how, where, and when charity should be given, gave gold, land, villages, elephants, horses, and good food grains to the Brahmanas. Varan, what is that? Varan, rewards. He gave, Varan also means excellent or good. Good. Good what? Let me see. Okay. He gave villages means he gave the income of the villages. This was previously a method by which they would donate the taxes from those villages that would be donated to deities, brahmanas, because education was meant to be free. Food, education, justice, one more, healthcare. These were given free, meant to be given free. It would be nice if there is a good effort to ensure these four are given free in Mayapur also. By education, we mean scriptural education. Scriptural education. Dakshina was there. Students have to give some dakshina and satisfy the teacher. Varan, Shresthan, Swannam, Shobhanam, Annam, Cha. They were given good food grains. The Danakalagyaha, he knew when to give charity, which also implies he knew how to give charity and where to give charity. It is meant to be given at a certain point in time when the child is born. There's some calculation here. I'm not able to understand this because it's got something to do with and I can understand literally, but I just don't understand what it practically means. It's got something to do with when the child is born. Prajatirthe putrotpatti punya kale. At the auspicious time when the son was born. Putre jate vyatite bhavati kshayam iti smrite. So at that time, if one gives donation, when a son is born, then one attains inexhaustible pious credits. Devasya pitaraschaiva putre jate dvijanmanam ayanti hi nripashreshta punyaham iti chabruvan. So the devas, the pious forefathers, they come when a son is born to the twice born. Of course, this refers to those who are twice born by guna karma. And they recite the punyaha mantras for that child. Only the Brahmanas and sannyasis are authorized to accept charity from the householders. In all the different occasions of samskaras, especially during the time of birth, marriage, and death, wealth is distributed to the Brahmanas because the Brahmanas give the highest quality of service in regard to the prime necessity of humankind. The charity was substantial in the shape of gold, land, villages, horses, elephants, and food grains, with other materials for cooking, complete foodstuff. The Brahmanas were not therefore poor in the actual sense of the term, because they were given donations in kind. On the contrary, because they possessed gold, land, villages, horses, elephants, and sufficient grains, they had nothing to earn for themselves. They would simply devote themselves to the well-being of the entire society. The word tirthavrit is significant. Tirthavrit. What is tirthavrit? One who knows how, when, and where charity is to be given. Because the king knew well where and when charity has to be given. Charity is never unproductive or blind. In the Shastras, charity was offered to persons who deserve to accept charity by dint of spiritual enlightenment. The so-called Daridra Narayana, a misconception of the Supreme Lord by unauthorized persons, is never to be found in the Shastras as the object of charity. Nor can a wretched poor man receive much munificent charity in the way of horses, elephants, land, and villages. The conclusion is that the intelligent man, or the Brahmanas, specifically engaged in the service of the Lord, were properly maintained without anxiety for the needs of the body, and the king and other householders gladly looked after all their comforts. It is enjoined in the Shastra. So this is that text, that as long as a child is joined with the mother by the umbilical cord, the child is considered to be of one body with the mother, but that as soon as the cord is cut and the child is separated from the mother, the purificatory process of Jata Karma should be performed. The administrative demigods and past forefathers of the family come to see a newborn child. And such an occasion is specifically accepted as the proper time for distributing wealth to the right persons productively for the spiritual advancement of society. Just give me a minute. 15 to 17, one cluster. 15. Samuchur Brahmana Sushta Rajanam Prashrayam Vitam Eshahyasmin Prajatanto Purunam Pauravarshabha. Something in chat box. What is that? On what occasions Brahmana has to accept charity and when not to? When not to? When to accept charity? In auspicious times when it's beneficial for the one who gives charity. When not to? First of all, if you're going to become obliged to the person who is giving donation, then you should run away from the situation. The worst thing that you can do in life is to become a slave of an unethical character. Is there anyone who are following this purificatory processes completely? Completely means what? To whatever extent they follow, to that extent they benefited. There would be. This is not too uncommon. I know the Ramanuja people, they try to do it. The Madhva people, they try to do it. Even on our own line, there are those who try to do, even within ISKCON, amongst the Gaudiya Vaishnava, within the community that follows Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, ISKCON also follows to some extent. These are all good things. It will bring about good only. There are persons who teach for free. I mean, that's a simple reality. Throughout India, and I'm sure outside India also, there are those who teach for free. There are those who teach scriptural knowledge for free. There are those who teach Sanskrit for free. There are those who teach Jyotisha for free. It's nothing, it's not some great magic. Maybe because we are too commercially contaminated, we cannot imagine these things. That is just our own foolishness. You cannot change the laws of nature just because, you set up an institution with an artificial set of values. 2 plus 2 is not going to become 5 just because 1,000 people scream that it is so. You should just follow. Anyway, it will lead to material prosperity. It just comes a little bit later. Benefit of following material piety will be experienced in that very life. But just a little later, there'll be a delay. The delay is because of having to experience the previous lifetimes, the reactions to activities done in previous lifetimes. Every activity you get a reaction in this lifetime and in future lifetime. So if you do pious activities, you get plus points in this lifetime and in future lifetime. You cannot avoid that. We do impious activities or sinful activities, we get minus points in this lifetime and next lifetime. Minus point means you suffer, you get to suffer. You cannot avoid that. Maybe it will be less now and more later, or more now and less later. But definitely we get it in this life and future lives. Tamuch brahmana stushta rajanam prashrayanvitam eshahyasmin prajatantau prunam pauravarshabha. The learned Brahmanas, who were very satisfied with the charities of the king, addressed him as the chief amongst the Purus and informed him that his son was certainly in the line of descent from the Purus. See, there was a reason why birth was given importance. Because when somebody is born in a particular family, let's say here, Kshatriya family, there's a good chance that you can actually train that boy with the guna karma of a Kshatriya. Because he's brought up in that environment. Whereas if he is born somewhere else to some other family with a different set of guna karma, then for him to upgrade one's guna karma is a very, very painful process, materially speaking. Unless you take to Uttama Bhakti, as taught by Rupa Goswami, then you develop Brahmanical quality. As long as you follow Uttama Bhakti, then you follow non-Uttama Bhakti, then again you get contaminated. Then Punar Moshika Bhava, all these things will happen. But if you want to upgrade your guna karma, the safest bet was to look into those who were born in particular families. So therefore, Jati Dharma was very carefully observed. My complaint in today's India is they are not following Jati Dharma. Somebody is born in a Vaishya family, which was a pious Vaishya family, giving charity and all that. And they would only do pious businesses in the form of agriculture, food, grain, sales, or these kind of things. They are pious. But now the person starts doing some meat business, this, that, it's nonsense. Follow, if you're born in a Brahmin family, stick to Brahmanical restrictions. It's so great. That is also why Prabhupada said that the children born to practicing devotees, they need to be given the highest standards of Krishna consciousness. By example, you cannot simply tell them. A child will only accept 10% of what you say, if at all he or she likes you. But you have to demonstrate it yourself and prove that by following all this, I am better off than those who are not following. So to not take care of those who have been brought up in Krishna consciousness is a very great crime. It's a moral crime. Very wrong. You'll be severely punished for that. Great irresponsibility. Yes.
So we see that nowadays in the Brahmana family, Brahmins are not following because in the Kali Yuga, like students, they're all worry about their future. So they don't.
These are all substandard Brahmanas. I'm talking of those who still follow. There are a small minority which follows. That minority is more important.
So how can we make them understand that you should also follow the Brahmanical culture?
I don't. There are a number of people who say it's hopeless, just waste of time. The hopeless waste of time. किं दैवेना प्रतिघातेन शुक्ले संस्थामुपेयुषि रातो वो अनुग्रहार्थाय विष्णुना प्रभविष्णुना. The Brahmana said, the spotless sun has been restored by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, in order to oblige you. He was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed by an irresistible supernatural weapon. The child Parikshit was saved by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Vishnu, Lord Krishna, for two reasons. The first reason is that the child in the womb of his mother was spotless due to his being a pure devotee of the Lord. The second reason is that the child was the only surviving male descendant of Kuru, the pious forefather of the virtuous king Yudhishthira. The Lord wanted to continue the line of pious kings to rule over the earth as its representatives for the actual progress of a peaceful and prosperous life. At the Battle of Kurukshetra, everyone up to the next generation after Maharaj Yudhishthira was annihilated, and there was none who could generate another son in the great royal family. Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu, was the only surviving heir apparent in the family. And by the irresistible supernatural master weapon of Ashwatthama, he was threatened with annihilation. Lord Krishna is described herein as Vishnu, and this is also significant. Lord Krishna, the original personality of Godhead, does the work of protection and annihilation in his capacity of Vishnu. This also explains why Prabhupada referred to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur as a ray of Vishnu. He took up the task of protecting the Gaudiya Vaishnava community and annihilating the miscreants. Lord Vishnu is the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. The all-pervasive activities of the Lord are executed by him in his Vishnu feature. Child Parikshit is described here as spotlessly white. Okay. To play unto the pure, the spotless sun. Described as spotlessly white because he is an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Such unalloyed devotees of the Lord appear on the earth just to execute the mission of the Lord. The Lord desires the conditioned souls hovering in the material creation to be reclaimed, to go back home, back to Godhead. And thus he helps them by preparing the transcendental literatures like the Vedas, by sending saints and sages as his missionaries, and by deputing his representative, the spiritual master. Such transcendental literatures, missionaries, and representatives of the Lord are spotlessly white because the contamination of the material qualities cannot even touch them. They're always protected by the Lord when they are threatened with annihilation. Such foolish threats are made by the gross materialists. The Brahmastra, which was thrown by Ashwatthama at the child Parikshit, was certainly supernaturally powerful, and nothing of the material world could resist its force of penetration. But the all-powerful Lord, who is present everywhere, within and without, could counteract it by his all-powerful potency just to save a bona fide servant of the Lord and descendant of another Maharaj Yudhishthira, who was always obliged by the Lord by his causeless mercy. 17. Tasman namna Vishnurat iti loke bhavishyati na sandeho mahabhagavato mahan. For this reason, this child will be well known in the world as one who is protected by the personality of God. O most fortunate one, there is no doubt that this child will become a first-class devotee. He will be qualified with all good qualities. Hey Pauravarshapha. No sandeha. No doubts. There is no doubt. Indicates that was stated because the king was having some doubts. He did not believe that such a small child could be so fit and eligible. Therefore, the Brahmana gives this expression. Don't doubt this. Don't doubt it. Sandehaste Mahabhut. The Lord gives protection to all living beings because he is their supreme leader. The Vedic hymns confirm that the Lord is the supreme person amongst all personalities. The difference between the two living beings is that the one, the personality of God, it provides for all other living beings. And only by knowing Him can one achieve eternal peace. Katha Upanishad. Such protection is given by his different potencies to different grades of living beings. But as far as his unalloyed devotees are concerned, he gives the protection personally. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was protected from the very beginning of his appearance in the womb of his mother. And because he was especially given protection by the Lord, the indication must be concluded the child would be a first-grade devotee of the Lord with all good qualities. There are three grades of devotees, namely the Mahabhagavat, the Madhyamadhikari, and the Kanishtadhikaris. Those who go to the temples of the Lord and offer worshipful respect to the deity without sufficient knowledge in the theological science and therefore without any respect for the devotees of the Lord are called materialistic devotees or Kanishtadhikari, the third grade devotees. Secondly, the devotees who have developed the mentality of genuine service to the Lord and who thus make friendships only with similar devotees, show favor to the neophytes and avoid the atheists, are called the second grade devotees. But those who see everything in the Lord and everything of the Lord and also see in everything an eternal relation with the Lord, so that there is nothing within their purview of sight except the Lord, are called the Mahabhagavatas or the first grade devotees of the Lord. Such first grade devotees of the Lord are perfect in all respects. A devotee who may be in any of these categories is automatically qualified by all good qualities, and thus a Mahabhagavata devotee like Maharaj Parikshit is certainly perfect in all respects. And because Maharaj Parikshit took his birth in the family of Maharaj Yudhishthir, Yudhishthir is addressed herein as the Mahabhaga, or the greatest of the fortunate. The family in which a Mahabhagavata takes his birth is fortunate because due to the birth of a first grade devotee, the members of the family, past, present, and future, up to 100 generations, become liberated by the grace of the Lord, out of respect for his beloved devotee. Therefore, the highest benefit is done to one's family simply by becoming an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. So all of us who want to do good to our family should actually execute Uttama Bhakti, execute pure devotions, and obey Upadeshamrita. 18. Rajo Vashan. Apyesha Vamsh. Chitanam Prabhu.
Prabhu, when Srila Prabhupada is writing that a devotee who may be in any of these categories is automatically qualified by all good qualities, what does this mean?
It means that if we execute Uttama Bhakti, then all these qualities will immediately arrive. If these qualities do not immediately arrive, it simply means that we are not executing Uttama Bhakti.
But if I am executing Uttama Bhakti, can I still be in Kanishta Adhikari level?
The Sadhaka Bhaktas, those engaged in Sadhana Bhakti are Kanishta Vaishnavas. Those engaged in Bhava Bhakti are Madhyama Vaishnavas. Those in Prema Bhakti are Uttama Vaishnavas. There are different, within Sadhana Bhakti also, there are so many levels you can see. Satam Kripa, Mahatseva, Shraddha, Gurupadashreya, Vajanesha, Spika, Bhakti, Anatta, Bhagavastata, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, all of them. Then Rati, that is Bhava Bhakti. Prematha Darshanam, Hare Madhuryanagam, Prema Darshanam, and Hari Madhuryanabhava. These are stages for Uttamadhikaris.
Okay.
18. ये राजोवाच अप्येष वंश्यान राजर्षीन् पुण्य श्लोकान् महात्मनः अनुवर्तिता स्विद यशस्सा साधुवादेन सत्तमा. The all good King Yudhishthira inquired, O great souls, will he become as saintly a king, as pious in his very name, and as famous and glorified in his achievements as others who appeared in this great royal family? So even though Yudhishthira Maharaj accepts the authority of the Brahmanas, even though the Brahmanas are already said that he would be protected by Lord Krishna for his whole life. I mean, he was protected by Lord Vishnu, and that he would be well taken care of for whole life, and that he will be a Mahabhagavata. Still, King Yudhishthira is asking, will he become a saintly king? Will he become a pious person? Will he become famous and glorified for his achievements? Will he do something which will make him famous and glorified as the others in this great royal family? See, this is the consideration of heritage. In English, they use this expression, pedigree. Those who are from rich business families since 4 generations and all, they will talk to new coming startup. They'll say, what pedigree do you have? You're from some village family. You've been selling some pan, gutka. This is your pedigree. Look at my pedigree, man. We've been selling gold since 4 generations at the tune of millions of dollars. Look at my pedigree and look at your pedigree. Great arrogance, they talk like that. Pedigree does, of course, have some influence. We don't deny that. And it is considered that one should maintain the glories of one's pedigree. Even in today's world, I'm told even in Europe, America, and other places, those who are from very, very rich families, they also try to maintain the restrictions appropriate to such a family. So this was very much there in Vedic civilization. For spiritualists, our pedigree is in terms of our parampara, Siddha parampara. We belong to a particular Siddha parampara. So let us not do something which will put us to shame, which will give a bad name to such a glorious parampara. We don't have to examine those who are not in good standing above us. That is never taken into consideration. You only look at those who are performers, achievers, toppers. You don't look at some intermediate third-class fellow in between you and that topper. You just neglect that person. You look at the topper. Even in today's world, if one's father is just some average something, the grandfather is some great person, then they will always say, I should follow my grandfather. I will also become a topper. Do something. I'll show what I can do. All these things they say. So that conception is there. In the Siddha Parampara also, you notice that there are gaps. No, if somebody is not up to the mark, then we don't take them too seriously. Mahabhagavato bhavishyati tyukte rishtah pruchyati. He is delighted that the child will be a Mahabhagavata. Therefore, he is asking. So, will all these qualities be there? Will he actually follow? Anuvartita. Will he actually follow? Harshinaiva punah prashnoyam natu apurtiyeti bhavaha. It is because of his delight that again he is asking about this. Vastutastu, in reality, tathatvepi rajashrestata jnanartham punah prashnaha. Even though he may be a great devotee, Mahabhagavata, first-class devotee, still Yudhishthir wants to know what kind of king will he be. This is an important consideration. It's not that just because you have some glorious soul that therefore you will be a glorious manager, you will be a, whether you will be a first-class manager, you may be a great devotee. That's a different issue. But will you be a good manager? Will you take care of the people? Materially, will you be good? It's like, it's one thing to say that this person is a very good devotee, but he may be a lousy cook. Will you hire him? Will you make him cook your breakfast, lunch, dinner? You will not do it. Because he also has to be a good cook. So like that, you're looking for a person who is appropriately qualified to do the job. Anurakshikritya vartita tesham sadrisho bhavishyati nava. Will he be like his royal forefathers or not? Api indicates a question about the possibility. The forefathers of King Yudhishthira were all great saintly kings, pious and glorified by their great achievement. Now, the forefathers of the Pandavas, they were not Mahabhagavatas, first-class devotees of Lord Vishnu and so on. But they were very good kings. And that is important. When you're dealing with a society, then you need to have qualifications appropriate to taking care of the society. So, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi, for women to follow Sri Dharma. These are all particular qualifications in addition to their qualification of being devotee, increasingly good devotees. Those who are who execute Kevala Bhakti. Kevala Bhakti means you stop everything in life. You only execute devotional service, like the Goswamis. Those who execute that offenselessly and uninterruptedly, with no motivation other than to increasingly please Lord Krishna, they will automatically attain all the good qualities. Everybody else has to follow their material duties, which will gradually and manually bring about these good qualities. And at the same time, they should increase their engagement in Bhakti Yoga until they come to the point where they also execute Kevala Bhakti. In any case, even if I'm executing my material dharma, I should not touch adharma. Adharma is of two types: papa, sinful activities, and aparadha, offenses. The forefathers of King Yudhishthira were all great saintly kings, pious and glorified by their great achievements. They were all saints on the royal throne, and therefore all the members of the state were happy, pious, well-behaved, prosperous, and spiritually enlightened. Under strict guidance of the great souls and spiritual injunctions, such great saintly kings were trained up, and as a result, the kingdom was full of saintly persons and was a happy land of spiritual life. Maharaj Yudhishthira was himself a replica of his ancestors, and he desired that the great king after him become exactly like his great forefathers. He was happy to learn from the learned Brahmanas that by astrological calculations, the child had been born a first grade devotee of the Lord, and now he wanted to know with confidence whether the child was going to follow in the footsteps of his great forefathers. That is the way of the monarchical state. The reigning king should be a pious, chivalrous devotee of the Lord and fear personified for the upstarts. He must also leave an heir apparent, equally qualified to rule over the innocent citizens. The first consideration is, are the innocent citizens protected? Most important to consider whether they are protected. How do you protect them from abuse? How do you protect them from dacoits? How do you protect them from all kinds of people? In the modern setup of the democratic states, the people themselves have fallen to the qualities of the Shudras or less, and the government is run by a representative of theirs who has not been trained according to the scriptural mode of administrative education. Thus, the whole atmosphere is surcharged with Shudra qualities, manifested by lust and avarice, greed. Such administrators quarrel every day among themselves. The cabinet of ministers changes often due to party and group selfishness. Everyone wants to exploit the state resources till he dies. No one retires from political life unless forced to do so. How can such low-grade men do good to the people? The result is corruption, intrigue, and hypocrisy. They should learn from the Srimad Bhagavatam how ideal the administrators must be before they can be given charge of different posts. So first, you have to be qualified, and then you sit on the post. This is the normalcy mode. When Prabhupada was manifest within ISKCON, Prabhupada followed the emergency mode. We would give someone a post and then expect that person to become qualified. But Prabhupada also indicated oftentimes that this is not normal. And after his departure, ISKCON has slowly struggled to learn that we should accept the normalcy mode. And there are many deniers, those who think that, who even say that, no, we are meant to be in emergency mode for 10,000 years. This is absurd stupidity. That's all. You cannot have that. Over the generations, you must bring about people who are first of all qualified for a privilege that you give, and then give them that privilege. Now you can give training. You can give training. That's all fine. You don't give that privilege unless you are qualified. 19. Brahmana uchuhu. Partha prajavita sakshad ikshvakuriva manavaha. Brahmanya satyasandhascha ramo dasharathir yatha. The learned Brahmana said, actually, it'll be so nice if our managers in ISKCON are like Parikshit Maharaj. No? Proper it will be. We ourselves are good for nothing, useless. What we can say? The learned Brahmana said, O son of Pritha, this child shall be exactly like King Ikshvaku, son of Manu, in maintaining all those who are born. And as for following the Brahmanical principles, especially in being true to his promise, he shall be exactly like Rama, the personality of Godhead, the son of Maharaj Dasharatha. Madhvacharya points out that this doesn't, he gives a quote from Brahma Purana that which indicates that do not take this too literally. He shall be exactly like Ram doesn't mean that he is Vishnu or Vishnu Tattva. It simply means that in one particular feature, you know, he will follow Lord Ram very nicely. तेषां सदृशो यशसा इति किं पृच्छ्यते जैरेव एकैकैर्गुणैः ते सर्वे यशस्विनः आसन् ते सर्वे एव गुणाः अस्मिन् बालके अधुना एव सन्ति यथावसरम् आविर्भविष्यन्ति. Particular personalities exhibited particular auspicious qualities, but all of them right now will be in this child. At the right opportunity, they will be manifest. तस्माद् एतत् तुल्यास्ते न बभूव इति प्रतीतायाम् इति आशेन आहुः पार्थेति. So they were not equal to this child. Satyasandha means Satya Pratigya, one who is true to his promise. He will be true to his promise, like Lord Ramachandra. Rama's style truthfulness is different from Krishna's style truthfulness. Krishna is also truthful, but it just you run in circles trying to understand how it is. But Rama, it's just simple and clear and straightforward. If we are not truthful like the son of Dasharatha, then people will not trust you. People will not trust you. Praja means the living being who has taken his birth in the material world. Actually, the living being has no birth and no death. But because of his separation from the service of the Lord and due to his desire to lord it over material nature, he is offered a suitable body to satisfy his material desires. In doing so, one becomes conditioned by the laws of material nature. Emphasis. And the material body is changed in terms of his own work. The living entity thus transmigrates from one body to another in 8,400,000 species of life. But due to his being the part and parcel of the Lord, he is not only maintained with all necessaries of life by the Lord, but is also protected by the Lord and his representatives, the saintly kings. These saintly kings give protection to all the prajas or living beings to live and to fulfill their terms of imprisonment. Maharaj Parikshit was actually an ideal saintly king because while touring his kingdom, he happened to see that a poor cow was about to be killed by the personified Kali, whom he at once took to task as a murderer. This means that even the animals were given protection by the saintly administrators, not from any sentimental point of view, but because those who have taken their birth in the material world have the right to live. All the saintly kings, beginning from the king of the sun globe down to the king of the earth, are so inclined by the influence of the Vedic literatures. The Vedic literatures are taught in the higher planets also, as there is reference in the Bhagavad Gita 4.1 about the teachings to the sun god Vidvan by the Lord. And such lessons are transferred by disciplic succession, as it was done by the sun god to his son Manu, and from Manu to Maharaj Ikshvaku. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. And the Manu referred to here is the seventh Manu, who is one of the Prajapatis, those who create progeny. He is the son of the sun god. He is known as the Vaivasvata Manu. He had 10 sons, and Maharaj Ikshvaku is one of them. Maharaj Ikshvaku also learned Bhakti Yoga as taught in the Bhagavad Gita from his father Manu, who got it from his father, the sun god. Later on, the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita came down by disciplic succession from Maharaj Ikshvaku, but in course of time, the chain was broken by unscrupulous persons, and therefore it again had to be taught to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So all the Vedic literatures are current from the very beginning of creation of the material world, and thus the Vedic literatures are known as a Paurushaya, not made by man. The Vedic knowledge was spoken by the Lord and first heard by Brahma, the first created living being within the universe. Maharaj Ikshvaku, one of the sons of Vaivasvata Manu, he had 100 sons. He prohibited meat eating. His son Shishada became the next king after his death. Manu, the Manu mentioned in this verse, is the father of Ikshvaku. As the father of Ikshvaku is the seventh Manu of the name Vaivasvata Manu, the son of sun god Vivaswan, to whom Lord Krishna instructed the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita prior to his teaching them to Arjuna. Mankind is a descendant of Manu. This Vaivasvata Manu had 10 sons named Ikshvaku, Nabhaga, Drishta, Sharyati, Narishyanta, Nabhaga, Dishta, Karusha, Prishadra, and Vasuman. The Lord's incarnation, Matsya, the gigantic fish, advented himself during the beginning of Vaivasvata Manu's reign. Vaivasvata Manu learned the principles of the Bhagavad Gita from his father, Vidvan, the sun god, and he reinstructed the same to his son, Maharaj Ikshvaku. In the beginning of the Treta Yuga, the sun god instructed devotional service to Manu, and Manu in his turn instructed it to Ikshvaku for the welfare of the whole human society. Lord Ram, in the Treta Yuga, the Supreme Personality of God incarnated himself as Sri Ram, accepting as his father his pure devotee Maharaj Dasharatha, the king of Ayodhya. Lord Ram descended along with his plenary portions, and all of them appeared as his younger brothers. In the month of Chaitra, on the 9th day of the growing moon, the Lord appeared as usual to establish the principles of religion and to annihilate the disturbing elements. When he was just a young boy, he helped the great sage Vishwamitra by striking Maricha and killing Subhahu and the she-demon Tataka, all of whom had been disturbing the sages in their daily discharge of duty. The Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are meant to cooperate for the welfare of the mass of people. The Brahmana sages endeavor to enlighten the people by perfect knowledge. The Kshatriyas are meant for their protection. So the whole idea is this. Society is conceived of as a school. The Brahmanas are the teachers. The primary activity in a school is education. The teachers need to teach the students. Now, in order to run a school, you also need to have administrators who ensure the education happens. If you do not have administrators, if you do not have those who protect the education, who take up as their only task the protection of that education, then you will find, for instance, the whole world knows that some of the best customers for buying products are the children. And when children want a certain product, they can drive everyone crazy and nuts. So imagine if you had a school which had no protection. And the next thing that would happen is you will find so many companies selling children's products, barging into the classrooms and showing different things to the children and selling so many things. So children will simply buy and then the parents have to pay all of them. And there'll be no classes actually because everybody is just busy. That's what is actually happening in today's world. The Vaishyas have basically taken on the scene and they're simply producing products and simply selling them with no sense of education. Nobody is being trained to move up. To move up means from aniti, immorality, you move up to or unprincipled life. You move up to principled life, which is moral life. Then you follow scriptural principle moral life. So from aniti to neti and then seshwara niti, and then afterwards you come to the platform of Vaidika seshwara niti, which is karma dharma. Then you come to Paramarthika Vaidika Seshwara Niti, which is Jnana Dharma. Then you come to Savishesha Paramarthika Vaidika Seshwara Niti, which is actually the process of bhakti. And then you have to progress from sadhana bhakti to bhava bhakti to prema bhakti. Then bhakti itself should, the higher form of bhakti is that which is aiming at pure loving service to the Supreme Lord. Within that, there is Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti, which is higher. So the whole idea is, how do we help to move up? So those who are higher should be allowed to uplift those who are lower. That is education. And that means protection. Therefore, you require this. The Brahmanas and Kshatriyas are meant to cooperate for the welfare of the mass of people. The Brahmana sages endeavor to enlighten the people by perfect knowledge, and the Kshatriyas are meant for their protection. Lord Ramachandra is the ideal king for maintaining and protecting the highest culture of humanity known as Brahmanya Dharma. The Lord is specifically the protector of the cows and the Brahmanas, and hence he enhances the prosperity of the world. Through the agency of Vishwamitra, he was rewarded by the administrative demigods with effective weapons to conquer the demons. He was present in the bow sacrifice of King Janaka, and by breaking the invincible bow of Shiva, he married Sita Devi, daughter of Maharaj Janaka. After his marriage, he accepted exile in the forest for 14 years by the order of his father, Maharaj Dasharatha. To help the administration of the demigods, he killed 14,000 demons, and by the intrigues of the demons, his wife Sita Devi was kidnapped by Ravana. Intrigues of the demons was basically it was Shurpanakha. Shurpanakha was herself she became annoyed. She first sent different Rakshasas to fight with Lord Ram, and they died. And then initially Ravana was not convinced that he had to go and kidnap Sita and all these things. But Shurpanakha, she gave a big lecture on dharma to Ravana, that it was his duty to take care of her. Otherwise, he's a sense enjoyer. Chastises him for being a sense enjoyer. This is all discussion of morality amongst thieves. So then, when Shurpanakha speaks all these things and he's still not convinced, then she says, I'll just commit suicide. All the major catastrophes in Ramayana have happened because of women who are threatening suicide, kill myself. So then it was an ego issue for Ravana. Sri Govindaraja explains it was basically an ego issue. You do all these things to my sister, let me see, I'll also put you in trouble. Where was I? After his marriage, he accepted exile in the forest for 14 years. Okay, wait. He made friendship with Sugriva, who was helped by the Lord to kill Vali, brother of Sugriva. Vali was so powerful that he could easily bring Ravana under control. Ramachandra did not take help of Vali to get Ravana under control because he wanted to teach that nobody should become an aggressor. Nobody should take others' property. Therefore, Ramachandra himself wanted to kill Ravana. By the help of Lord Rama, Sugriva became the king of the Vanaras, a race of gorillas. The Lord built a floating bridge of stones on the Indian Ocean and reached Lanka, the kingdom of Ravana, who had kidnapped Sita. Later on, Ravana was killed by him, and Ravana's brother Vibhishana was installed on the throne of Lanka. Vibhishana was one of the brothers of Ravana, a demon. But Lord Ram made him immortal by his blessings. On the expiry of 14 years, after settling the affairs at Lanka, the Lord came back to his kingdom Ayodhya by flower plane, Pushpaka Vimana. He instructed his brother Shatrughna to attack Lavanasura, who reigned at Mathura, and the demon was killed. He performed 10 Ashwamedha sacrifices. Later on, he disappeared while taking a bath in the Sarayu river. It was intentionally one, along with the other residents of Ayodhya. They immersed themselves into Sarayu and they went to Vaikuntha. The great epic Ramayana is the history of Lord Ram's activities in the world. And the authoritative Ramayana was written by the great poet Valmiki. So everything else, all other Ram Kathas, are to be judged by counter-checking it with Valmiki Ramayana. 20. Eshadata Sharanyascha Yatha Hyaushi Narashibihi Yasho Vita Nitaswanam Daushantir Viva Yajvanam. This child will be a munificent donor of charity and protector of the surrendered, like the famous King Shibi of the Ushinara country. And he will expand the name and fame of his family like Bharata, the son of Maharaj Dushyanta. Yena swam mamsam shyenaya datva sharanagata kapoto rakshitaha. Shibi is most famous for a particular incident. He gave his own flesh to a Shyena. Shyena, what is a Shyena? Eagle?
Yes.
Eagle. In order to protect. Kapota is a pigeon who had taken shelter of him. They were demigods, of course. Swanam Gyatinam Vidvanam cha Yasho Vistarako Dausyantir Bharataiva. Then there is Daushyanti Bharata. Bharata, the son of Dushyanta. He would fight with lions in the forest, young boy. A king becomes famous by his acts of charity, performances of yagyas, protection of the surrendered, etc. A Kshatriya king is proud to give protection to the surrendered souls. This attitude of a king is called Ishvara-bhava, or factual power to give protection in a righteous cause. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord instructs the living beings to surrender unto him, and he promises all protection. The Lord is all powerful and true to his word, and therefore he never fails to give protection to his different devotees. The king, being the representative of the Lord, must possess this attitude of giving protection to the surrendered souls at all risk. At all risk means even if he has to die, he should protect others. Others should not. Those who deserve to live should be prevented from dying, even if the king himself has to die or accept permanent injury with no regrets. The king, being the representative of the Lord, must possess his attitude of giving protection to the surrendered souls at all risk. Maharaj Shibi, the king of Vishinera, was an intimate friend of Maharaj Yayati, who was able to reach the heavenly planets along with Maharaj Shibi. Maharaj Shibi was aware of the heavenly planet where he was to be transferred after his death, and the description of this heavenly planet is given in the Mahabharata, Adi Parva 96.6 to 9. Maharaj Shibi was so charitably disposed that he wanted to give over his acquired position in the heavenly kingdom to Yayati, but he did not accept it. Yayati went to the heavenly planet along with great rishis like Ashtaga and others. This is all that Adi Parva description. On inquiring from the rishis, Yayati gave an account of Shibi's pious acts when all of them were on the path to heaven. He has become a member of the assembly of Yamaraj, who has become his worshipable deity, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The worshipper of the demigods goes to the planets of the demigods. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. So Maharaj Shibi has become an associate of the great Vaishnava authority, Yamaraj, on that particular planet. While he was on the earth, he became very famous as a protector of surrendered souls and a donor of charities. The king of heaven once took the shape of a pigeon-hunted bird, eagle. And Agni, the fire god, took the shape of a pigeon. The pigeon, while being chased by the eagle, took shelter on the lap of Maharaj Shibi, and the hunter eagle wanted the pigeon back from the king. The king wanted to give it some other meat to eat and requested the bird not to kill the pigeon. The hunted bird refused to accept the king's offer, but it was settled later on that the eagle would accept flesh from the body of the king of the pigeon's equivalent weight. The king began to cut flesh from his body to weigh in the balance equivalent to the weight of the pigeon, but the mystic pigeon always remained heavier. The king then put himself on the balance to equal the pigeon, and the demigods were pleased with him. The king of heaven and the fire god disclosed their identity, and the king was blessed by them. Devashi Narada also glorified Maharaj Shibi for his great achievements, specifically in charity and protection. Maharaj Shibi sacrificed his own son for the satisfaction of a Brahmana. Shibi never allowed flesh eating in his kingdom by any human being. Thus, Child Parikshit was to become a second Shibi in charity and protection. Daushyanti Bharata. There are many Bharatas in history, of which, right, I see something in the chat box. We see many devotees not interested in cow protection. What can we do for it? We should make them interested in cow protection. Are the stones still available on which it is written the Lord's name, Rama? I do not know. I don't think so. I would be very surprised. Beware of all kinds of fake evidences provided by hyper-enthusiastic people. There are many Bharatas in history. The reason why I'm not so confident is Ram Leela happened 4 Treta Yugas back. So I won't be expecting these things. There are many Bharatas in history, of which Bharata, the brother of Lord Ram, Bharata, the son of King Rishabha, and Bharata, the son of Maharaj Dushyanta, are very famous. And all these Bharatas are historically known to the universe. This Earth's planet is known as Bharata or Bharatavarsha, due to King Bharata, the son of Rishabha. This is Adi Bharata, who in 3 lifetimes attained Lord Hari. But according to some, this land is known as Bharata due to the reign of the son of Dushyanta. So far as we are convinced, the land's name Bharatavarsha was established from the reign of Bharata, the son of King Rishabha. Before him, the land was known as Ilavrtavarsha. But just after the coronation of Bharata, the son of Rishabha, this land became famous as Bharatavarsha. But despite all this, the son of Maharaj Dushyanta was not less important. He is the son of the famous beauty Shakuntala. Maharaj Dushyanta fell in love with Shakuntala in the forest, and Bharata was conceived. After that, Maharaj Dushyanta forgot his wife Shakuntala by the curse of Kanva Muni. The child Bharata was brought up in the forest by his mother. Even in his childhood, he was so powerful that he challenged the lions and elephants in the forest and would fight with them as little children play with cats and dogs. Because of the boys becoming so strong, more than the so-called modern Tarzan, the rishis in the forest called him Sarvat Damana, or one who is able to control everyone. A full description of Maharaj Bharata is given in the Mahabharata, Adi Parva. Abhigyana Shakuntalam is derived from the description of Mahabharata and other scriptural accounts of Dushyanta and Shakuntala. The Pandavas or the Kurus are sometimes addressed as Bharata due to being born in the dynasty of the famous Maharaj Bharata, the son of King Dushyanta. Kalidas and others, their compositions were meant to inspire the readers and hearers. They were also enacted as dramas, watchers, audience, to accept Vedic Dharma. So it is all very carefully composed, very, very carefully composed. That Dushyanta, when he becomes attracted to Shakuntala, there's a dialogue in Kalidas's drama. How is it that I'm attracted? Because he is supposed to be Kanva Muni's daughter. But actually, he was born from some king, when the king united with some Apsara. And the child was just left alone, and Kanva Muni adopted her and took her. But Dushyanta did not know that. But because Dushyanta is attracted to Shakuntala, and Dushyanta was so fixed in Dharma that he was so confident that Shakuntala cannot be a Brahmana's daughter. His logic was, I am very dharmic. So if you become very, very dharmic, your body and mind also becomes dharmic automatically. So my mind cannot be attracted to a Brahman girl. The Kshatriyas cannot marry Brahmanas. Kshatriyas can only marry lower. Brahmana is higher. So why am I attracted to her? So then he does some investigation and finds out that actually she is biologically born to a Kshatriya. She's actually a Kshatriya girl. It's brought up by Kanva Muni. So like this, there are different very interesting things that also come up. 21. Dhanvinam agraniresha tulyascharjuna yortvayo Kuthashaiva Durdharsha Samudraiva Dustara. Amongst great bowmen, this child will be as good as the Arjunas. Two Arjunas. Arjuna Yok. He will be as irresistible as fire and as unsurpassable as the ocean. Arjuna Yok, Partha Karta Virya Yok. The two Arjunas are Partha Arjuna and Kartavirya Arjuna. Partha Arjuna is Vita's son, Kunti's son. Kartavirya is the other Arjuna. Kartavirya, he was also a very, very powerful person. Very powerful person. In history, there are two Arjunas. One is Kartavirya Arjuna, the king of Haihaya, and the other is the grandfather of the child. Both the Arjunas are famous for their bowmanship. And the child Parikshit is foretold to be equal to both of them, particularly in fighting. A short description of the Pandava Arjuna is given below. Pandava Arjuna, the great hero of the Bhagavad Gita, he is the Kshatraja, son of Maharaj Pandu. Kshatraja means that there is something called a Kshatraja. In the previous yugas, one can have a surrogate child from one's wife. You can have her impregnated just to have a child. Nowadays, they do it through technology. Queen Kunti Devi could call for any one of the demigods, and thus she called Indra, and Arjuna was born by him. Arjuna is therefore a plenary part of the heavenly king Indra. He was born in the month of Phalguna, February, March, and therefore he is also called Phalguni. When he appeared as a son of Kunti, his future greatness was proclaimed by air messages, and all the important personalities from different parts of the universe, such as the demigods, the Gandharvas, the Adityas from the sun globe, the Rudras, Vasus, the Nagas, the different rishis, sages of importance, and the Apsaras, the society girls of heaven, all attended this ceremony. The Apsaras pleased everyone by their heavenly dances and songs. Vasudeva, the father of Lord Krishna and the maternal uncle of Arjuna, sent his priest representative Kashyapa to purify Arjuna by all the prescribed samskaras or reformatory processes. His samskara of being given a name was performed in the presence of the rishis, residents of Shatashvanga. He married 4 wives, Draupadi, Subhadra, Chitrangada, and Ulupi, from whom he got 4 sons of the name Shrutakirti, Abhimanyu, Vruvahana, and Iravan, respectively. During his student life, he was entrusted to study under the great professor Dronacharya, along with other Pandavas and the Gurus. But he excelled everyone by his studious intensity, and Dronacharya was especially attracted by his disciplinary affection. Dronacharya accepted him as a first-grade scholar and loved heartily to bestow upon him all the blessings of military science. He was so ardent a student that he used to practice bowmanship even at night. And for all these reasons, Professor Dronacharya was determined to make him the topmost bowman of the world. He passed very brilliantly the examination in piercing the target, and Dronacharya was very pleased. The royal families at Manipur and Tripura are descendants of Arjuna's son Babhruvahana. Arjuna saved Dronacharya from the attack of a crocodile, and the Acharya, being pleased with him, rewarded him with a weapon of the name Brahmashira. Brahmashira. The Pratipadika is Brahmashiras. Maharash Drupada was inimical toward Dronacharya. And thus, when he attacked the Acharya, Arjuna got him arrested and brought him before Dronacharya. Arjuna besieged a city of the name Ahitshatra belonging to Maharash Drupada, and after taking it over, he gave it to Dronacharya. The confidential treatment of the weapon Brahmashira was explained to Arjuna, and Dronacharya had Arjuna promised that he would use the weapon if necessary when he, Dronacharya, personally became an enemy of Arjuna. By this, the Acharya forecasted the future battle of Kurukshetra, in which Dronacharya was on the opposite side. Maharaj Drupada, although defeated by Arjuna on behalf of his professor Dronacharya, decided to hand over his daughter Draupadi to his young combatant. But he was disappointed when he heard the false news of Arjuna's death in the fire of a lax house, intrigued by Duryodhana. Maharaj Drupada therefore arranged for Draupadi's personal selection of a groom who could pierce the eye of a fish hanging on the ceiling. This trick was especially made because only Arjuna could do it, and Maharaj Drupada was successful in his desire to hand over his equally worthy daughter to Arjuna. Arjuna and his brothers were at that time living incognito under agreement with Duryodhana, and they attended the meeting of Draupadi's selection in the dress of Brahmana. When all the assembled Kshatriya kings saw that a poor Brahmana had been garlanded by Draupadi as her lord, Sri Krishna disclosed his identity to Balaram. Arjuna met Ulupi at Haridwar, and was attracted by that girl who belonged to Nagaloka, and thus Iravan was born. I've been told that Ulupi was a childless widow. It requires investigation. Similarly, he met Chitrangada, a daughter of the king of Manipur, and thus Babhruvahana was born. Every time Arjuna went on exiles and did austerities, he ended up with another wife. Arjuna, powerful Kshatriya. This is a proper alpha plus. Lord Shri Krishna made a plan to help Arjuna kidnap Subhadra, the sister of Shri Krishna, because Baladeva was inclined to hand her over to Duryodhana. Yudhishthira also agreed with Shri Krishna, and thus Subhadra was taken by force by Arjuna and then married to him. Subhadra's son, the father of Maharaj Parikshit, the posthumous child. Arjuna satisfied the fire god by setting fire to the Khandava forest, and thus the fire god gave him a weapon. Indra was angry when the fire was set in the Khandava forest, and thus Indra, assisted by all other demigods, began fighting with Arjuna for his great challenge. They were defeated by Arjuna, and Indradev returned to his heavenly kingdom. Arjuna also promised all protection to one Mayasura, and the latter presented him with a valuable conch shell celebrated as with Devadatta. Similarly, he received many other valuable weapons from Indradev when he was satisfied to see his chivalry. When Maharaj Yudhishthira was disappointed in defeating the king of Magadha, Jarasandha, it was Arjuna only who gave King Yudhishthira all kinds of assurances. And thus Arjuna, Bhima, and Lord Krishna started for Magadha to kill Jarasandha. When he went out to bring all other kings of the world under the subjection of the Pandavas, as was usual after the coronation of every emperor, he conquered the country named Kelinda and brought under subjugation King Bhagadatta. Then he traveled through countries like Antagiri, Ulupur, and Modapur, and brought under subjugation all the rulers. It looks like they were just these different kingdoms. It didn't have the concept of a country. The concept of a country came up very recently, 250 years, 300 years back. Sometimes he underwent severe types of penances, and later on he was rewarded by Indradev. Lord Shiva also wanted to try the strength of Arjuna, and in the form of an aborigine, Lord Shiva met him. There was a great fight between the two, and at last Lord Shiva was satisfied with him and disclosed his identity. Arjuna prayed to the Lord in all humbleness, and the Lord, being pleased with him, presented him with the Pashupata weapon. Pashupata weapon. Patrivikrama. He acquired many other important weapons from different demigods. He received the Dandastra from Yamaraj, the Pashastra from Varuna, and the Antardhanastra from Kuvera, the treasurer of the heavenly kingdom. Indra wanted him to come to the heavenly kingdom, and the heavenly kingdom, the Indraloka planet beyond the moon planet. In that planet, he was cordially received by the local residents. He was awarded reception in the heavenly parliament of Indradev. Then he met Indradev, who not only presented him with his Vajra weapon, but also taught him the advanced military and musical sciences used in the heavenly planet. In one sense, Indra is the real father of Arjuna. And therefore, indirectly, he wanted to entertain Arjuna with the famous society girl of heaven, Urvashi, the celebrated beauty. The society girls of heaven are lusty, and Urvashi was very eager to contact Arjuna, the strongest human being. She met him in his room and expressed her desires, but Arjuna sustained his unimpeachable character. That means a character which cannot be contaminated, and you cannot even accuse him of having a contaminant. By closing his eyes before Urvashi, addressing her as the mother of the Kuru dynasty, and placing her in the category of his mothers, Kunti, Mandri, and Shachi Devi, wife of Indradev. So the whole idea is, she was somewhere up in the genealogical chart, if you see. Urvashi comes somewhere up. So he considered that, because a mother should be respected as a mother, but the grandmother should also be respected as a mother, and grandmother's mother should also be respected as a mother. Everybody should be respected as a mother. They're all Matri Varga. Just as we also accept in the Siddha Parampara, we accept our spiritual master as Guru. Okay. But Prabhupada is also our Guru. Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is also our Guru. Gauranga Kishodas Babaji Maharaj is also our Guru. They're all Gurus. Therefore we say, Vande Gurun Isha Bhaktan. Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. All the perfect pure devotees are all Guru Varga. Like that, he also accepted Urvashi Devi as belonging to his Matri Varga, the category of his mothers. So therefore, he refused to associate with her intimately. Just as that is how you are supposed to behave with a mother. Disappointed, Urvashi cursed Arjuna and left. She cursed him that he would be a eunuch. And that was utilized when he was in that Agyatavas and left in the heavenly planet. He also met the great celebrated ascetic Lomasa and prayed to him for the protection of Maharaj Yudhishthira. In the chat box. In Dwapar Yuga, people were coming from other places like Nagaloka. Does it happen nowadays also in Kali Yuga? It looks like there are people who talk about these kind of things. Different things are happening all over the time. Just that these things are not covered in the media generally. Generally, they're not covered in the media. They might been noted in some newspaper, but then nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. Also, I heard that one time Prabhupada was giving class. In that class, Brahma and Narada was present. That I don't know, but I do know that in, I think it was in Soho Street Temple, London. Prabhupada said that you should keep an asana for Lord Brahma and Narada Muni, because you can check in Soho Street website. It's either Soho Street or was it the Mena? I think it was Soho Street, London. It's called London. He said that Lord Brahma and Narada Muni, they attend the evening arati, something like that, something to that effect. When his inimical cousin Duryodhana was under the clutches of the Gandharvas, he wanted to save him and requested the Gandharvas to release Duryodhana. But the Gandharvas refused, and thus he fought with them and got Duryodhana released. When all the Pandavas lived incognito, he presented himself in the court of King Virat as Brahannala. As Brahannala, he fought on behalf of Uttara, the son of King Virat, and thus he defeated the Kurus in the fight incognito. His secret weapons were safely kept in the custody of a Shami tree, S accent A-M-I dash Shami tree. And he ordered Uttara. Tara was the girl, Uttar was the boy. They were both children of King Virat. He ordered Uttara to get them back. His identity and his brother's identity were later on disclosed to Uttara. Dronacharya was informed of Arjuna's presence in the fight of the Kurus and the Viratas. Later on on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna killed many great generals like Karna and others. After the battle of Kurukshetra, he punished Ashwathama, who had killed all the 5 sons of Draupadi. Then all the brothers went to Bhishmadev. It is due to Arjuna only that the great philosophical discourses of the Bhagavad Gita were again spoken by the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. His wonderful acts on the battlefield of Kurukshetra are vividly described in the Mahabharata. Arjuna was defeated, however, by his son Babhruvahana and Manipur and fell unconscious when Ulupi saved him. After the disappearance of Lord Krishna, the message was brought by Arjuna to Maharaj Yudhishthira. Again, Arjuna visited Dwaraka, and all the widowed wives of Lord Krishna lamented before him. He took them all into the presence of Vasudeva and pacified all of them. Later on, when Vasudeva passed away, Arjuna performed his funeral ceremony in the absence of Krishna. While Arjuna was taking all the wives of Krishna to Indraprastha, he was attacked on the way, and he could not protect the ladies in his custody. At last, advised by Vyasadeva, all the brothers began their Mahaprasthan, the great departure until death. On the way, at the request of his brother, he gave up all his important weapons as useless and dropped them all in the water. 22. Mrugendrava Vikranto Nishevyo Himavaniva Titikshur Vasudevasau Sahishnu Vitaraviva. This child will be as strong as a lion and as worthy a shelter as the Himalaya mountains. He will be forbearing like the earth and as tolerant as parents. Bhavaniva Satam Nishevyaha Ananya Gatikattvena. The saints take shelter of the Himalayas, who have no other, the saints who don't accept any other shelter. They do this. Sarvam sahapi vasudha paresham vakshara jwalam na anubhavati. The speciality of Vasudha, earth, is that she tolerates everything. She does not consider the harsh words that you speak, the arrows that you use to attack her, and so on. The idea is that she does not, no, I'm wrong. Vasudha, she tolerates everything, but she does not experience attacks of speech and weapons. I am too, but in Parikshit, he will experience this, but he will not retaliate. Kiman iva muninam nishevyaha. Mata cha pita cha pitaro. Ta viva sahisnu. He'll be tolerant like the parents are tolerant of their sons. Tau yatha putraparadham sahete. Just as a dharmic mother and father tolerate the personal offenses committed by their sons, tadvat, like that. Yah praja aparadham ityartha. Like that, he will tolerate the offense of one of his prajas, of his prajas, of his prajas. One is compared to the lion when one is very strong in chasing an enemy. One should be a lamb at home and a lion in the chase. The lion never fails in the chase of an animal. Similarly, the head of the state should never fail in chasing an enemy. The Himalaya mountains are famous for all richness. There are innumerable caves to live in, numberless trees of good fruits to eat, good springs to drink water from, and profuse drugs and minerals to cure diseases. Any man who is not materially prosperous can take shelter of these great mountains, and he'll be provided with everything required. Both the materialist and the spiritualist can take advantage of the great shelter of the Himalayas. On the surface of the earth, there are so many disturbances caused by the inhabitants. In the modern age, the people have begun to detonate atomic weapons on the surface of the earth, and still the earth is forbearing to the inhabitants, like a mother who excuses a little child. Parents are always tolerant to children for all sorts of mischievous acts. An ideal king may be possessed of all these good qualities, and the child Parikshit is foretold to have all these qualities in perfection. Okay, I'll stop with this. Okay. Anshakalpatarvyascha Upasindivyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.